What's up, guys? MC Stu here, and today we're going to take a look at how to craft and get a hold of these new consoles that were added into the R&D system. So I'm pretty excited to see this. There hasn't been really anything done to the R&D system that was new, and I think since I've started playing the game, I can't think of anything that's been added for half a decade. So I hope this is the first of many additions that they'll make to the system, adding additional things that we can craft to it. So I'm going to be going over how to craft them, how to get the parts you need to craft them, and the different ways to go about doing that. I'm not going to go too much into the performance on them, although I think some of them look pretty good. I caught a little bit of CasualSAB stream over the weekend while I was on vacation, and he had piled on a whole bunch of the Hangar engineering console, Hangar Pet engineering consoles, and it looked like it had a pretty significant boost for your Hangar Pets. Which I'm really pumped about. I'm really glad that they started with adding those. And again, I'm hoping that this is the beginning of more to come in terms of the R&D system. But pets really needed some help. Hangar Pets were just not super great. So this is going to make it nice to where we can start adding in things that are going to help with doing carrier builds and things like that. So hopefully we see more of that. Let's start off with the blog post, just to real quick go over what they've added, and then we'll jump in game here and take a look at how to go about getting these made for yourself. So they added 4 different consoles into the R&D system. 2 in the engineering, 2 in the science. We'll look at these in a little bit more detail here in a moment when we get into game. And they also added in, 6 batteries. And they're basically like the old batteries that you could craft, but they give an additional boost. So just for instance, your kinetic amplifiers that would boost your torpedoes, they're also going to give you critical severity for your projectiles as well for the 20 seconds that the kinetic boosts last. So they're basically the next tier of battery that are going to give you +1 in terms of the boost you're going to get from the old batteries that were available and still are. So that is what they've added in. Let's go ahead and just take a look at these and how to go about crafting them in the R&D system. So let's start off by looking at the R&D system itself, and then we'll talk about kind of how to get these components and all the pieces that you need. I'll also have a good resource from the wiki that I'll leave down in the description, which we'll take a look at in a moment. That will make life a lot easier for getting this figured out if you're wanting to farm some of these resources out. Right now, these resources could make you some pretty good EC, so it might not be a bad idea to try and farm some of those out. All right, so let's start with the consoles. Actually, let's start with the batteries because they're pretty straightforward. Each R&D school, almost all of them have batteries that you can craft. So here are the ones that we have been using. So this is in the beam. This is going to affect energy weapons, gives you the plus 20% bonus weapons damage for 10 seconds. Now the advanced version is going to give you that same boost for 10 seconds, plus it's going to give you the plus 30 for Starship shield penetration for that 10 seconds as well. And each of the different flavors they've added basically a different extra little boost to it. So if we look at the cannons for the target lock, you get that plus 50 accuracy rating, and you also get a plus 1.5 critical chance. And they're okay. A little bit extra definitely doesn't hurt, and these are fairly easy to get a hold of the materials that you need to craft. So they're basically going to take what the old ones did plus one of the new materials. So the advanced battery superconductive conducting loop. All of the batteries that you craft, doesn't matter the flavor, they're going to take that same elite, I guess we're calling it, R&D mat. So you don't need to get a whole bunch of different stuff for all the different batteries. They're going to take pretty much the same things to craft them, at least when it comes to the more pricey or the harder to get mats. So if you have any of these, you can craft basically all of them as long as you have the basic materials. So the batteries are pretty straightforward. So let's go ahead and move on to the consoles. All right, so they added in engineering and in science, and we'll just kind of take a look at the science ones here first because I'm going to focus more on the engineering because I picked up some of the mats and different things that we needed for that, so we'll use that for the example. So what you're going to do is you're going to come into Science, and you're looking for Advanced Science Consoles. So here we go, and let's go begin. And you're going to have these two different flavors that you can choose from. So let's just pick the first one here. So once you've selected the console, it's the same as pretty much anything else, except we have this special part that we need, component. This is where it gets a little bit tricky. So let's go ahead and jump over to the engineering. I just wanted to show the science portion of that, so you obviously see where that is. Let's go ahead and take a look at the engineering consoles. So what we have here, if we go to Advanced Engineering Consoles, we click on Begin. We're going to select, for the example, we're going to go with the Hangar Craft Power Transmission. Some of these things are mouthfuls. So what we have here is some pretty standard components. You can craft these two in the engineering section. And then the elite piece that we need, I don't know if I'm calling that the right thing, the advanced piece, let's call it that, okay? So this is a component. It's the Advanced Engineering Console Core Subspace Com Wave or Power Wave Overloader. It's ridiculous how long the name is of this thing. So this you will also need to craft in order to make this particular console. This is not crafted in the engineering section, and this is where I had a little bit of trouble when I first started kind of looking at this, trying to figure out, okay, I want to build some of these and check them out. So it's not listed here like all your other components are. So for that piece, you're going to have to go to Special Projects, and in Special Projects, you can craft that. Now, in order to craft this particular item for that console, and you'll notice that there's 4 different special components, okay? So each one of these is for one of each of the new consoles that you can make. So 2 in engineering, 2 in science, and the 2 in engineering are going to need this one and one of these other ones. I think the bottom one, I'm not sure. But each of these special projects are for that final component that you need. Now, in order to craft this special component, you're going to need these fragments. And these fragments are specific to each of these components that you need. So special components need special fragments, okay? Now, the special fragments are going to come from a couple different sources. Number one, you can buy them off the exchange if you want to. If you want to farm them, you can get them from running elite queues, and there's specific elite queues that you're going to want to do for the different kinds of fragments that you're going to need, which we'll talk about in a moment. And I believe these also drop from the R&D packs that you can buy off the exchange, which if you're after these components and these pieces, that's probably not the way you want to go, because that's going to cost you a lot of real life money or a lot of EC if you're buying them off the exchange that way. So let's take a look at how to get the fragments. So what we've gotten to is that if we want to do an engineering console, we can craft the pieces that we need for it, 2 of them within the engineering school. And then the last piece that we need to craft is going to be under the special projects for that particular component. So for the Hangar Pet console, it's going to be this particular one. And in order to craft that, you are going to need the fragments for that, which are the Subspace Com Power Piece. Jeez, these things are long. All right, so let's talk about how we want to go about getting these. And again, you can buy them off the exchange, or you can get them from the packs off the C store or Z store, which again would be kind of the last place that I would go to do that. So there's an excellent resource that the guys over at STO WiKi have put up. And this basically gives you everything that you're going to need to know what items you need in order to craft particular things, okay? So if we drop down to the second table here, so what we're going to be working on is the Hangar Pet console, and we're going to need one of the special project components, which is what we were looking at, the overloader, and we're going to need 5 of the fragments in order to make the overloader, okay? So what we need to do is we need to look at, okay, where can I get these fragments from? So if we scroll up here, the top table, this is going to give us a breakdown of the R&D boxes that you get from running queues. And let's just talk about that for a quick moment here. So here is a R&D material pack. This is from running a normal one. The green one, I think the green ones are from running advanced, and then this is what a Elite Q R&D pack looks like. So you get one of these anytime you complete a Elite TFO. Okay, and I didn't realize this, but there's actually different kinds of these boxes. So you'll see at the end of the title of the box, it says, I won't even try and read that name right now, something particle, right? So this is specific, or it's going to have specific rare items in it that are going to be different from other kinds of boxes that you get. And on the wiki page, it actually details which TFOs drop which kinds of boxes. So here are all the different kinds of boxes that are available. And if we look at, and that name is actually different from what we were looking at before there. But in any case, use this table. So this table, if we were looking for this particular box to drop, we're going to want to run either the Volt, Herald Sphere, or Best Served Cold. That's going to drop this kind of R&D box, and that is going to contain components listed here. So if we want to craft the engineering device, we're going to need to run the corresponding TFOs that are going to drop the box that we want, and that box should or may have some of the fragments. So let's just go ahead and open this box and see what we get out of it here. Did I get any of those? I did not get that particular piece out of it. I think that might have actually been the wrong box, but I did purchase one just so I had it. But you'll see these have these advanced, or is that the right word for these guys? What are we calling these? Are they ultra rare materials? I mean, they have the same kind of color coding, so maybe that's what we should call them. But in any case, we're just going to call them advanced materials since we're making advanced consoles. So you'll need to open up these boxes in order to get the pieces. You'll use 5 of the pieces to make the special project component that you need, and then you can go ahead and craft the console along with the other 2 basic components that you can just make in the R&D school. Okay, so let's just kind of go through crafting one of these, and I'm going to put the link for that wiki page down in the description, because that'll be a little bit easier for you guys. So if there's a particular console you're looking for, you'll just go in, find the console, find out what parts it needs, and then go up to the table above and find out which queues drop those particular boxes that'll have those pieces in it that you need. All right, so the first thing that we're going to need to do is craft one of these. Now, I didn't buy a bunch of these, and we'll get into this in a moment here, because buying the individual pieces doesn't make a lot of sense. We'll talk about that in a moment. But let's pretend I had 5 and I hit go ahead and craft, and it crafted it, and I have it. Okay, so there it is. Now I have it. It's right here. We used 5 of these in order to get one of those. So now we're going to go up to the engineering here, and we're going to pick this console. I generally craft pretty much everything at Mark II. That gives a much better and cheaper chance, or cheaper way of getting a higher quality level on things. So when you go from Mark I to Mark II, when you're doing an upgrade, you're going to get a chance for a quality upgrade. When you go to Mark III to Mark IV, you're going to get another chance. And to go to Mark III from 2 and going from 3 to 4, and it's a lot cheaper, a lot less XP that it takes in order to get those to the next level. Now, it does progressively get to cost more and more. So if I did this at Mark 12 and started to upgrade it, it's going to cost me huge chunks of points in order to go to the next mark on that, and you have a lot less of them. So by crafting things at Mark II, it's a lot cheaper, or a lot more likely, both, depending on if you get lucky, to get a quality upgrade while you're going up the chain for the different levels on that. So it's a lot easier and a lot cheaper to be getting, going up to your next quality level, going from Mark 3 to 4, or 4 to 5, or 5 to 6. Once you get near 11, 12, things start getting a lot more expensive. It requires more upgrades to do. All right, so let's go ahead and confirm. I'm not going to use any of the modifiers here. We have all the pieces, and we're going to go ahead and start. So this takes 5 minutes once you go ahead and decide to craft it. I'm going to go ahead and just skip that, okay? And we're going to claim our console. So let's see, where did that drop it at? There it is. Now it is dropping. Oh, wow. Okay, so I got lucky here, guys. So this, I got a good roll, and it gave me this at ultra rare. So part of that is the DOFs that you use and how high you are on your engineering school. So I'm at 15. 20 is the maximum. I don't have any of mine all the way up at 20. But the DOFs that you use, and if you use those modifiers, these here, this can help you also get a potential higher quality level drop. So I got lucky here and got a ultra rare out of that crafted one there. So if I started upgrading this from 0, I have a pretty good chance of getting that to gold epic status prior to getting all the way up to Mark 15. So that's how you get all the pieces that you need and you actually craft it. That's how you would farm them out yourself without actually buying anything. Now let's talk about buying some of these pieces on the exchange, okay? So if we go over to the exchange here, let's open that up. And let's take a look at the pieces, okay? So the piece are the fragments. So these are the base pieces for the most expensive part that you need for this. Is there none? Oh, let's fix that. Get our countdown on. Why does the exchange do a countdown like that, guys? I've always wondered. All right, so we're at basically 4 million, okay? And you need how many? You need 5. So you're at 20 million to buy the individual parts, okay? If we just bought the wave overloader, I believe that component costed me right around 20. So you might as well just buy it at 20, right? Instead of buying 5 and making it yourself. If we look at the console, and let's just get rid of the modifier on it. You can buy the consoles for 19. Now they do go up, and there are different kinds of modifiers. Can these be re-engineered? Let's look at this here. Re-engineer item. They can be re-engineered. So this is photon is what I have here. So this is the boost that it'll give to you, separate from the Hangar pets. And there's definitely going to be more desirable ones, right? Like I would like to have phaser if that's available here, and it is. If I was putting this on a phaser build that had pets. So I'm guessing phaser and some of those things might be more expensive, higher sought after. I don't know. Let's just take a look at the higher end here. So you got AP. These are also epic'd out. So these are also new. So you'll find prices are all over the place. These prices I think will probably end up coming down a little bit. But nevertheless, if you're getting these consoles, purely for stacking them for your Hangar pet damage, then these modifiers may not matter as much. Not to mention you can just re-roll it yourself. So the bottom line is that you can get yourself these consoles for 20 mil, what was it, 19 mil. So it's cheaper to just buy the console at Mark II and upgrade it yourself than it is to buy either 5 of the fragments you need or the 1 advanced component that you need. Both of those individually are going to cost you more than just buying the console right now off the exchange and just upgrading it yourself. So let's just take a look. This is the first one I've crafted myself. Let's just take a look at it. Let's say more details. All right, so this particular one has photon as the modifier. So let's just take a look at what we get on these. So all of these, you're going to get the first 3 things. This is just baked into it, right? And so we have pets gain plus 7.9 bonus torpedo damage, plus 40% per rank for Hangar pet. So I'm not clear on whether or not you get another 40% of this when you go up to like rank 2 and another 40% at rank 3, or are we starting off less? This isn't an even number for that, so that can't be the case. So it looks like this will continue to stack up as your Hangar pet levels up or ranks up. So the longer your Hangar pet's out, the more rank it gets and the more boost you're going to get from this, and just innately is a mechanic it's built into it. The next thing that we're going to get is a plus 2.6 to weapons power, and again we're going to have that stacking 40% as it ranks up. And then lastly, we're going to have a 2.6 stacking max weapons power. So we have weapons power and we have stacking max. Okay, so the maximum power level will continue to rise. So you can, like for instance with your ship, you can have your weapons power at 100, but you can also boost it to where the maximum can get up to 125 or 135. Once you get above that, it just kind of goes into overflow. You don't get any boost from it other than when it drains, it doesn't drain out as fast. Now, lastly, what we have here is the modifier. So this is going to be 13.1% photon projectile weapons damage. This is for my ship. The top 3 are for your hangars. So if we re-engineer this particular console to one of the other modifiers, let's say it was a phaser build that we were doing with beams, and it's got 2 hangars, and so we're stacking these for the pets, and I would want phasers for my modifier here because that's going to help my actual build on the ship itself. Now you can slot multiples of all of these consoles. So I could put, if I had a engineering ship that had 5 consoles, and let's say it was a miracle worker and it was X upgraded, you could have 7 of these consoles. Now what you cannot do is you cannot mix and match these new crafted ones. So you can't take 3 of the science craftable ones and put 2 or 3 of the engineering craftable ones. So the engineering, it either has to be just engineering or just science. You cannot mix those 2 schools together on a particular build. So the more I'm thinking back over just this video I'm recording, it sounds complicated, and it's probably more complicated than it should be, but it's not too bad. But I wouldn't buy these. I mean, let me take that back. I would buy them, if you don't have the ability to do elite queues. It's nice to have a group on that. There are some that I can solo. I soloed, what was it? Defense of Starbase 1. I just brought a tank in. It's time gated. You're just, staying, protecting the ship. There's some that are easier than others, but the issue is that you're not, Starbase 1 doesn't give me the box that I need if I'm wanting to do the hangar pets, right? And make that particular console. So there's some of these here that are going to require, you to have a team. So, and I don't know, maybe I'll take that back. I'm going to be playing around a little bit more with solo queuing some of this stuff, and I think builds for that. I think that makes the most sense because I think these consoles are going to be helpful, and I think we're going to see more of this type of stuff, which is going to make it more important to be able to get into elite queues. You can queue up for that, and I think that we'll see elite queues, more of them popping, but they can be pretty difficult, especially if people aren't used to them or don't understand the mechanics. So having a ship that can solo or almost solo some of these elite TFOs is going to be really helpful for being able to farm out these items that you need. So let's just go ahead and recap one more time before we get done, and we'll leave it there. I'll be doing some follow-up videos where we're stacking a bunch of these on ships and seeing how they perform. But just right off the bat, with being able to stack those up, I think this really changes the game for hangar pets. I don't know that it's going to make them the quote-unquote meta, but the nice thing about this game is that you can play it on Elite without ever touching the meta. You can come up with your own stuff and do your own thing. The barrier to get into the elite queues and things like that, it's not really high. It's not. There's other games that I play where you need to have these couple different kinds of builds, right? Now, if you're getting into competitive, DPS chasing on the tables, that's a little bit different. But in terms of just playing the content at Elite, the sky's the limit, really. So far, personally, I like more of that tank kind of a build. I'm experimenting with kind of a torpedo build that's kind of tanky. I'm going to be testing that out on ISE and some of these other ones. I need to look through these queues and see which ones are going to be the ones to go after for the different parts that we need, which ones that make sense. Because there's a couple queues for each of the fragments. And so some of those queues might be easier than others. So I'll be going through that and figuring out, okay, which ones of these are the easiest to kind of get through for each particular fragment. So lastly, let's just go ahead and recap again here. So if you want to make one of the advanced engineering consoles here, you are going to need 3 components, 2 of which you can craft right from the engineering tab. And the last one that you need, the special component, is going to come from special projects, okay? So for these 2 items here, you'll go into engineering and you will find those 2 items in the list here and you will make them. Let's keep scrolling. So here they are. This is where your components are. You'll just make what you need there. And then for your special component, you'll go to special projects. For that particular console we were just looking at, it is this mouthful. And in order to craft this, you will need 5 of the fragments. In order to get the fragments, again, you can buy them off the exchange, or you can go ahead and just run the elite queues that will drop those. In order to figure out which queue you need to be running, in order to get the box that you need that has the chance of dropping that special part that you need, fragment that you need, you'll need to look at this table here. And again, the link will be down in the description. Once you have 5 of these, corresponding fragments for whatever component it is or console it is that you want to build, you basically are going to have everything you need, since the other 2 components are just super easy to get. They come from just regular old boxes that you're getting all day long from just playing the game. So first thing is to figure out what console you want. Come to this table, look down here at what pieces you need for the particular console. So here's your consoles, here's your component, and then here's your special fragments that you're going to need to make the component. So you'll just go backwards through. So if it's the Hangar Pet console, you'll look at this. You'll say, okay, I need this particular component, which it says right on the crafting tab. And then this is going to be the fragment that you need. And then you're going to come up to the table above, find the fragment in the list, and then look at the queues here. And you'll need to run whatever the queue is for the fragment that you want on Elite in order to get the boxes that drop that particular fragment. All right. Well, guys, I hope that was helpful. Again, it's not super complicated, but for, a video game, just trying to make something, it seems a little bit over the top, and there wasn't really any kind of explanation in the blog post about kind of going through this. It did have some in there, and if you're real familiar with the game, you would kind of know exactly what you're talking about. But I mean, let's be honest, I haven't been in this special projects tab since they made these Omega particles and pieces non-tradable. So that's been years since I've even been in this. So it's just one of those things where it's all there. It's just not laid out real good. So let me know what you guys think. Was that helpful? What consoles have you made, or are you going to be after to craft for yourself? Are you excited that they've added this stuff into the system? I can tell you I'm excited that they put this into the game. It really, really needs it. This crafting system needs way more stuff in it. At this point, most of it is somewhat useless compared to other things that we can just easily get in the game, except for the batteries. So I'm pretty excited, and I hope that they continue moving forward with adding stuff into this crafting system. That was a really, really good move. So let me know what you guys think down in the description. I'll have some more review videos coming out on these actual consoles and how they're performing in the game, and we should have those coming out here probably next week. We'll start with 1, and we'll just go 2, 3, and 4, and take a look at these and see which ones make sense to be running on your build. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you. Have a good one. Hey, guys, appreciate you watching. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, ring the bell, and sub to the channel for the latest news updates and how-to guides.